Good morning. Showing myself, make sure the timer's up. How is everybody today? We've had 3 sunny days, hot sunny days in a row. Today's another one. And if you are joining, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Last Wednesday, I went on a long walk and I've done lives where I've walked by the lake and it was fine. And then last week, I don't know, my life cut off. I was mid-story. I was talking about Amy Bradley. So it recorded about 45 minutes of like an hour and 4-minute video. So I talked for like another 15 minutes without it being recorded. That's lovely when that happens. Waiting for anybody to join in. When you do join in, let me know where you're listening from. And I wanted to say if anybody if you are an educator or if you have sons or daughters or other relatives that are teachers, um, you can let them know. I just started a teaching channel. It's called Typically Unique Teacher. I'm keeping that Typically Unique brand going. Right now, I'm only posting shorts because I still have to work for like 14 days till I can officially retire September 1st. So I plan on advocating for issues with education and throwing in some humor and sarcasm. And I have lots of teaching strategies and resources to share. I already put up one free resource. So just shorts for right now until um, I can be unmuzzled. That's what I say. I'm going to be unmuzzled. I'm hoping my volume's working. Someone's got to jump in here and let me know. My sound, I mean. My daughter and I are going to Lollapalooza, and I dug out, I have to show you this homemade bracelet. I love the purples and greens and blues. Um, that bracelet I bought at the Grateful Dead show at Buckeye Lake. And in 19, probably, it's one of their most historical concerts. It was crazy. Um, some of the members of the Who were there with them, I believe. And so, like, yeah, 91, 92. Bought this there. Um, and I've had it all this time. I told my daughter, I'm like, I'm busting out my hippie bracelet. Uh-oh, I see writing. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. My my ear is clogged, so my AirPod sounds weird or feels weird in my ear. So I don't know if it's working. Let me see. Hola. Hi, Jazz. Can you guys let me know if you can hear me okay? Or maybe you're not answering me because you can't hear me. No habla un poquito. Uh, let me, nope, that muted. I don't know. I'm gonna guess you guys can hear me okay. So last week I was talking about Amy Bradley, and I had to correct a couple of things, or at least one thing that I shared. But let me give a quick recap, okay? So there's a docu-series. It's like 3 episodes. I believe it's on Netflix, and I think it's called Amy Bradley is Missing, or Where's Amy Bradley, something like that. She was 23, I believe. 21 in 1998. She went on a cruise with her parents, and everything was going good. Her younger brother, which was only younger by like a couple of years, her parents were on a cruise, and her and her brother stayed up late to go to the late night, like disco, like late, like 2, 3 in the morning. And her parents were already in the room in bed. Her and her brother, they know, her brother knows because he was with her. They both got back to the room. Their room had uh, a deck off of it. They both were out there, and her brother went inside to go to sleep. And Amy stayed out there, and she was laying on a lounge chair. The dad woke up at like 5:30 in the morning, maybe between 5 and 5:30. Saw her feet on the chair, knew she was there, went back to sleep, and then when they woke up in the morning, which I don't think was that much later, 6, 6 or 7 in the morning, she was gone, never to be seen again. The only trace of her were her shoes left on the deck and on the, patio porch they had. Um, and her shirt that she was wearing was in the room. So very weird. I see Soccer King in here. Hello. You better be exercising. I'm walking. This is our Walk and Talk Wednesday. Hit that like for me if you would. Subscribe if you haven't. I try to do this every Wednesday. So then I talked about how, so after she's missing, the family does, what everybody would do. They scour the ship themselves, look every place they could think of, and nothing turns up. They go to the cruise director, and on this documentary, I mean, he was a jerk. I don't like to call people's names, but he, it sounded like he acted like a jerk in the live moment when this was happening, and he spoke like that on the documentary. Like, just no empathy. It was all about the business, keeping the business going, keeping the money coming in. And so when they went to him, they wanted him to, like, you know, let all the cruise passengers know she's missing, um, sound the alarms, like do everything. And the only thing they would do is um, do like a call for her, like, Amy Bradley report to the blah, blah, blah. So they did that. They were pulling into port. And so, one of the first theories was she either jumped overboard or she was thrown overboard or accidentally fell overboard. Okay, so on purpose, accident, or someone else did it to her. But they were super close to the port, like so close that a lot of people were saying, like, she could have just swum to shore. And so the first thing they did was wait. I think they were in Curacao. It was either Curacao or Aruba. And the guy in charge of the island, like their sheriff or whatever he was super empathetic. And they sent out dive crews and search crews. And the good thing is there was a certain current. So they, uh, searched, and they knew that if she was in the water, either she herself, some part of herself, some article of clothing, something would have washed up, not just onto shore, but like a certain part of shore. And nothing ever turned up, like nothing. And so that guy, that sheriff or whatever he was like, she's not in the water because we know we have a certain current and it goes a certain way and it would show up. And nothing did. So that pretty much ruled out her being in the water. So then they're pulling into port, and the family was begging the crews not to let anybody off, right? We got to find her first. She's on this ship somewhere. And they wouldn't do that. They were business first. We can't ruin everybody else's vacation because of your problem. So they let everybody off. And then that's when they searched the entire ship. And, they made it seem like, every single employee from, cooks to everybody had certain areas assigned to them and had to search. And of course, they said nothing turned up. I'm boring. Ha, thanks. That's okay. Everybody's got a cup of tea, their own cup of tea. I'm boring and well, it's okay. Still waiting for anybody to let me know. I'm assuming you can hear me since you said I'm boring, but um, the story's good. The story's a good one. Anyways, the family ended up getting off the ship and going to the island. They were waiting for all that stuff. So they never found her. They had to end up going back home. So they go back home and then they start getting reports of sightings. And I talked about these on the last episode. So one of the sightings was, I think not too long after she was missing, there was a guy on the beach, and I thought he was selling something, but I think he was a Navy person, and he was on the beach like cleaning up or whatever. And that's when he saw who he swore was Amy. And I guess she had an identifying Tasmanian devil tattoo on her shoulder. And every person that sighted her saw that. Either they saw that tattoo or she actually said her name. My name is Amy Bradley. So This guy just saw her walking with two guys, and she kind of broke away from them a little bit. We're just walking, but like beelining it towards him, like she was gonna come up and start talking to him. And before she got there, the guys caught up to her and kind of like, stared her down, stared the Navy guy down, and she never got to say anything. So he reported that. There was a woman on a cruise years later that went into a port and into a bathroom. I thought it was in like a little bar or something, but I guess it was in a shopping area. And when she came out of the stall, there was a woman washing her hands, and this the lady who was on the cruise, um, started talking to her, chit-chatting, and the girl said her name was Amy Bradley, and we're just answering the lady's questions. And the woman thought she said she was from Virginia, which I don't think that's correct. But the lady got like a weird feeling from her, and while the woman was still in the bathroom with her, two guys entered the bathroom like to get her, like they were watching her like a hawk. And she overheard a conversation with them that, wherever they were going, she didn't say where they were going, just that they were going somewhere, and don't you try to, run away this time or get away this time. And she heard Amy say, "Can we go see the kids, or can we go see the children?" So then everybody was speculating, did she have kids? Because this was years and years later. So the main suspect is a guy in the cruise ship band, and he goes by the nickname Yellow. And the people who were the eyewitnesses that saw the sightings of her, the guy on the beach said he was one of the guys with her. The guy or the lady in the restroom, I believe, said he was one of the guys. And then a third sighting was in a brothel, and they kept moving her around. It seemed like they would bounce between Curacao and Barbados. And this was also, I think, a Navy guy, and he wasn't supposed to be in that establishment, and he was in there, and I don't think he stayed very long. I think he got very creeped out. Um, but he swore up and down, like he said, like 99. No, he said, "I'm not 99% sure. I'm 100% sure that it was her," because he had conversations with her. I can't remember any specific details that he said. Again, I think the tattoo was noticeable. He, unfortunately, though, didn't report it right away because he was still in the service. So he was close to retiring, so he waited until he was retired to report it. So there are three pretty solid sightings. So then it's just, it goes cold because when you're on international waters and something like that happens, nobody really has jurisdiction. So the family got the FBI involved right away, and they tried to do everything they could. They even came onto the cruise ship when it was happening, but they couldn't go like to the islands to try to find that yellow guy. Legally, they couldn't do anything. I guess he did volunteer um, to talk, but and they might have even said he did a lie detector, but I don't think they gave the results. I'm like, well, did he pass it? His daughter ended up coming out. She's on the documentary. She was suspicious of him. She even called the family because this is where I ended up, I think, on my first live, that uh, her mom said he had a suitcase full of photos, and when Amy was on the cruise ship, her formal photo that she went to go purchase was missing. So lots of evidence that she's probably still alive. Lots of suspiciousness that it's this yellow guy. And also because he was the last person seen with her. And what I wanted to correct was the two girls that saw her the night before, they didn't see her twice. They saw her at like between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. So after her dad sees her still sleeping on the deck off their room, she's seen going up an elevator with yellow and then only him coming down. So, like, come on. Let me see who's in here. Becca Ernsto. So, here's my theory. There was a guy, because how did she get off the deck? She either went through her parents' their room and left, which they would probably hear that. Her dad had just been up a few minutes before. Possibly not. I mean, her shirt was in the room, so she could have left the room on her own accord. So that's one possibility. Um, the other is her neighbor was a older guy who was, oh, I'm sweating, who was a solo traveler, always on cruise ships. You know, he could be complicit. The neighbor on the other side of him said that his TV was super loud at that time and he heard loud yelling. So they could have taken her, like forcefully taken her off the deck through his room and out. There's suspicions that she could have been drugged. Some of those drugs take a little while to go into effect. I don't know. Either she willfully left, which kind of, I think there's more evidence for that because her shirt was in the room. I'm wondering what shoes were missing. She had to have had shoes on. One pair of her shoes was on the deck. So that's a good question. If she's going up the elevator with this yellow guy, what floor do those girls think they stopped off on? All that could have been asked in the morning. I did watch an interview with the brother. There's a really good interview where he kind of rehashed everything, told a little bit more information, but he didn't talk about any of those questions. So it's still been all these years. She's not found. And I said I would have hired like a bounty hunter type spy to go to those islands and just find that yellow guy and just follow him around. Hi, Lori. Can you let me know if you can hear me? Is the sound okay? Because it's sounding weird to me. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I always, when I'm talking for like, half hour, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been talking this whole time and nobody can hear me. Good, 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 good. I just think not only was Amy sighted, but this yellow guy was sighted with her. So find him. Like, I mean, now it's like been 27 years. You know, so this is the interesting part of the story, and I don't think I shared this on the first part. The Navy guy that was the first sighting on the beach, he did something with digital data analysis or something. He teamed up with somebody and there was some kid who he was interested in the case, so he started a website And the purpose of the website was to just dump every piece of information into one spot. So that website would be interesting to find. I cannot remember what they said the name of it was. I'm sure something to do with Amy Bradley. And, newspaper articles, TV interviews, all that stuff. So the Navy guy suggested to the website guy, if you can get the IP addresses of the people who visit this website, right? Because perpetrators like to involve themselves, keep up on what's being said, stuff like that. And if victims have access also to, get information. So that was their thinking. So he's like, can you get the IP addresses? And then I have software that can trace them. So they did that. And they found that some of the addresses were coming from the islands. And then, so they're monitoring that, right? Like now we know these, IP addresses. They started posting more personal photos up there. And they found out that someone was visiting the site and like staying there for like 45 minutes. And it would always be on holidays. And because anybody can visit on holidays, but specific birthdays, right? So it sounds like it was probably Amy because who would know family members' birthdays? So I don't know. You would think they could do something with that. Um, Again, I would have tried to get that information and narrow it down to a location. And I do think they found out about another brothel, or maybe it was the one that the guy saw her at. And by the time they got there, it was burned down. And that's not in the Netflix documentary. That came from the brother in his interview. So where is she now? You know, um, still being used for that after 27 years, like just being held captive somewhere. I, I I don't know, but I'm glad that this case has finally like blown up to get more attention. And I'm going to keep everybody updated on anything that gets found. All right, so the other thing that I wanted to tell you guys about, have any of you watched the series on Netflix called Trainwreck? So this show, every episode is a different story. They're true, they really happened. I think the first one was about the poop cruise. Oh my God. These people were on, I'm telling you, today's cruise stories. These people were on a cruise and the sanitation and water stopped working and it just filled with sewage. Disgusting. So that's like their first episode, I believe. It's one of the earlier ones. But the one I wanted to talk about, I was just watching it last night, is about Area 51. So you guys know what that is, right? It's out in Rachel. Isn't that funny? I can remember the town, but is it in Nevada, Colorado? One of those states. It's Nevada, out in the middle of the desert. So there, so the guy in this episode, he was like young adult in his 20s, and he was doing social media, and he had probably a YouTube channel or something, and he was mostly a jokester. So everything he posted was like sarcasm. He had like 40 followers, okay? So I forget why he got the idea he was watching something. So he stumbled upon some show that was talking about aliens and Area 51. And he's like, oh my gosh, I got to do something with this. So he creates a post about storming Area 51. And he goes to bed. Now remember, this is supposed to be, his channel is all sarcasm and humor, not to be taken seriously. He wakes up to like, hundreds of thousands of views and users, and all being like, yeah, let's do it. And it just takes off and goes super viral. And he had even set a date. And the date was for like at least a month out. Like it was a ways out. So in the meantime, on his page, like it goes so viral, people are making memes, um, first about actually doing it, and then, alien themed, and like even celebrities got involved, and it became this huge thing. So then he starts getting nervous because people are serious, they're acting serious. And he's like, oh my God, what would happen if someone actually tries to do this? So he has to go tell his mom, like, Mom, uh-oh. And she's worried. So he's like, oh, I'll take care of it. So then I'm watching the show, and I'm like, okay, he's going to be like, this is just a joke, or I'm just kidding. No, he put an even more like sarcastic phrase on his like, bio or headline or whatever. And I thought, oh my God, that's how you're going to take care of it. So it just built and built and built and built. So people start planning on going out there. So then in the show, they go to the area. So it's in this dinky town. They showed one couple that lived there, and they had like their house, their restaurant, all in, same building, same plot of land. They had enough. They had a building where they could rent out 10 rooms, and they had a lot of land where they could like, I think they can hold like 500 campers or something, or a lot of campers can camp on the land. The sheriff said they had like, I don't know, 13 officers for like thousands of square mileage because nobody lives there. It's a lot of land, but nobody lives there. So they think thousands and thousands of people are coming because the lady who owns the little hotel, the little 10-room thing, she starts getting phone calls. Oh, Lori's been watching the train wrecks. I know they're crazy. The she probably gets like 2 calls a year or something, like I don't know, I'm exaggerating, but she like takes a call, hangs up, gets another call, hangs up, gets another call, hangs up. By the end of it, she's like sold out the 10 rooms and has like 500 campers make reservations, all for the same time, the same date, same date. So the town starts freaking out because they don't have like the infrastructure to like deal with these people. Plus, the sheriff's like, how are me and my 12 other officers going to hold off like 100,000 people? So there's a section of this that I didn't catch, but then I saw the ending. So like somewhere along the line, so the event was going through. It was planned. People were booked. Everybody was still going out there, but something happened, and only about 150 or so people actually went. So they uh they line up. I'm giving a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear the ending, mute. And at the very end, they line up. They made it seem like it looked like there was like, thousands of people. and they like do a countdown, like they're gonna charge, right? 3, 2, 1, and they all start running, and then they stop. And it was like they turned it into like the ultimate prank, which the guy that started the whole thing probably absolutely loved because that was his whole niche on his show. Um, but nobody actually charged in. They all agreed to make it this prank, and then they turned it into like a party. They were dancing, and I guess there was tons of media there. Like there was a woman that went, and she just said every time she turned around, she had like a boom mic in her face. So it ended up just being like an alien party. Dude, those stories are crazy. Oh no, you guys, look at this. I gotta find out about this. Let me get in the shade. Lori, if you're able to look at the screen, look what I'm gonna show. I don't tell me if you know about this. So they have a sign. Sorry, I'm bouncing. Justice for McKenna Ray. Little baby. I'm sure it's probably been in the paper. I gotta look that up. Let me see. Yeah, there's no shade for a minute. Let me see. We'll check over here. Let's see. Oh, just that you've been watching this. Lori put an alien face. Oh my God. So I just feel like that in Amy Bradley case, like I feel like it had enough leads to go somewhere 27 years ago. Like I don't feel that I could not just sit at my house just waiting. I don't know. I'd have to be, I'd be speaking whatever language Curacao and Barbados speaks right now. Oh no. Maybe there's a YouTuber that can reach out to that guy that owns the website. That would be interesting. I'll make Carlos do it. I'm always shook in to contact people. Ah. So we are excited to be going to Lollapalooza. And I know for sure we're going to see Del Water Gap. They're a good band. And T-Pain. And then the group DJO. I'm not sure how to say it. It's not Dojo. It's not Dojo or that. It's DJO. And they sing the song Back to the Beginning is the actual title of the song, but it's where they say, when I'm back in Chicago. Oh my God, I cannot wait to hear that live. That's going to be so cool. I've been outside of Lollapalooza like 4 times. So to be able to actually go in is going to be cool. And this is the first year it's going to be 90 degrees. I was worried about that. Not that I care, I love 90-degree weather, but I've been to a concert in 90-degree weather on pavement, and that was even torturous for me. That was really bad. So I'm glad it's going to be a little bit cooler. And I'm excited to see some bands that I don't know about. Oh God, he's off the leash. I hope they have a fence. Yeah, he stopped. I was about to say, you guys are my witness. I'm about to get eaten by a dog. Oh. So I know that yesterday there were some bombshells in the Brian Kohberger case also. And where am I at with my miles? Let me see how much I've walked. We'll go down and back. Everybody's reading through the docs, and everybody's at about the either almost to the 200 mark. There's one creator that's into the 300s, I believe, near 300. So we're pretty close to having somebody on YouTube read all of them. And there is more information in there that I think confirms all of the police conduct we were questioning than there is evidence against Brian Kohberger. I'm going to make a list. Like I even heard now. See, I want to go back and see which docs they are that say this stuff. But the Amazon one talking about the knife sheath, like someone said the Amazon purchase was for a knife, but Brian actually had the knife and the sheath. And like asking, like, did they match? Did they, look at the make and model and whatever year, whatever of the knife sheath found at the scene? Does that match what was purchased on Amazon? I don't think that question was answered in the docs. I always knew I think it was the May 30th hearing. May 30th, like, it might have been 2023. It was a long time ago. The hearing where Ann Taylor, I know I have it on my channel, Ann Taylor questioned Brett Payne and Detective Mowry. And we always knew that, like, she was asking specific questions about the call detail records, timing advance records, the mapping that was done, all that stuff. So, like, we knew, okay, she's doing this for a reason. And, we had to speculate on what is the reason, especially based on the answers that were given. But in the new docs, I cannot believe they just released them the way they are. Like, they make them, in my opinion, make them look worse. They make them look worse than just the speculations that people have. But if you just read them and went on, you wouldn't notice anything probably. But there's people on social media, on YouTube here that are smart enough to slow down, really, read what's being said and if there's dates or times or whatever they're talking about, match it up with other videos or statements that were made and find contradictions or that doesn't make sense. That's not what they originally said. And the big thing is, so there was a big debate. Carlos and I had a show about it, talking about Cy Ray when he testified, or in his affidavit that he put in writing, and he was calling out that the prosecution kept saying, we don't have the call detail records, I believe it was. AT&T didn't have those. They didn't keep those. Blah, blah, blah. And Cyree, I believe, was saying maybe they don't like officially have them, but I know you can get them. And he knows the way that you can get them. And he made that perfectly clear. So then, just gonna walk in this little shady area. In the docs that were just released, Mallory or Payne, I think it was Mallory, was saying that he went into a system and clicked something and got the records. So, which one is it? They didn't exist or they did exist. And either way, someone's lying. So, again, like, does that prove Brian's innocent? No. Does it prove that prosecution wasn't playing fair? Yes. Was it evidence that, the defendant could have used? Yes. Would it have proved anything? And I think that's what Cyree was trying to do. I can't go into that too much because everybody's perplexed on why you plead guilty. Like, all these people are out here fighting for you and you're not fighting for yourself. I know that no matter, I believe, I think this is correct. I did look it up, super quick Google search, but I believe that no matter what phase you're in the court process, from being arrested to convicted, if there's evidence that presents itself that proves your innocence, you can request a hearing. I think that's the habeas corpus. I think that's what it's called. And but it still has to be granted, right? And I know that, and it's not easy to do because the judicial system doesn't want to admit they made a mistake. I don't know. I just wish, like, Lori, I don't know if you're still listening, but I said I'm going to compare how, like, the police chief and, the police people that got up to the podium and spoke about the case. How does the Idaho 4 case, public relations and press conferences and information, compare to the New York City police or Manhattan, whoever handled the case, or whatever Southern District, with Rex Heuermann? If you look at those side by side, oh my God. And then, Lori, what I was wanting to talk to you about was we did the Prince investigation. So, like, every interview was transcribed, right? And in the documents we're getting about the Idaho 4, these are just police notes. Police notes saying, here's what was said. And then saying no recording was taken. Well, if there's no recording, then you can't get transcripts, right? And you should have transcripts so that you know that it's verified that the people actually really said that. So those are big issues, in my opinion. Even though Brian said he did it, so he's guilty. There's all this weird stuff. And it's just why? Just why? So a few things have been broken open, like the call detail records and all that stuff. So I'm sure there's going to be some more, like even after reading the documents, just going back and people that took notes, like going back and look at your notes and putting things together. And also, I believe Brian Koberger has, I think he had 42 days from the sentencing date. So like probably like 37 or so days left to file an appeal. And yes, he still can appeal, but I guess it's got to be to the Supreme Court, even though he gave up his official rights to appeal. Like those are like the lower level things, I guess. I don't know. Still lots of questions, still lots to talk about. Well, thank you to those that hung out with me, listened. Hope I gave you something interesting to listen to while you're maybe out and about or walking like I am or you're doing chores. Um, I'll be back next Wednesday, but it'll probably be in the evening because I got to start doing my couple weeks of work so that I can retire. And again, if you're still listening, haven't hit the like button, please do me a favor and do that. If you just found us, my husband and I usually do full-length videos. We are overdue for making one. When we do, we'll probably do a couple. Subscribe to our channel. I've been doing more on here than I ever have, and it's hard in the summertime because I love being outside in the sun, so I cannot be in the house like recording an hour-long video when the sun's outside because we only get a few months of sunshine. So once fall hits and I'm trapped in the house, I'll be making a whole lot more content. But thanks for joining me, and I will see you next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.